What is the most important skill that you can have in a field like robotics? I mean, how do you show off that you have learned enough? No matter how simple the project is, personally, I think it is when you have an idea inside of your head and you are able to turn that into reality using the knowledge you have gained. So, I've been trying to come up with something crazy, totally out of box, something that had never been done before. And I remember reading about Morse code in this article long ago. Now, in case you don't know, Morse code is basically a method used in telecommunication to encode text characters as a standardized sequence of two different signal durations called dots and dashes. What if I can make something in Arduino which receives these signals and decodes them to display the original message or sequence of strings? I didn't just want to do that, I wanted to turn up the heat. What if the signals it receives are in form of light pulses? So if I can develop an app in Android for a smartphone which broadcasts the code in front of a sequence of light pulses and the Arduino receives and decodes it, what I get at the end of the day is a wireless communication system. I would have created a model wireless communication system from scratch. I needed to have all this up and running within a single week, including the Android app, which needed to be designed, developed and published because our exams were right around the corner. So I got in touch with one of my classmates to help me out in this project. Luckily she agreed. Before starting everything, we carried out a simple test to find out whether it was possible to create such a device which could detect the light flashes or pulses with accuracy, agility and efficiency. We are in the middle of a second wave here in India, so we had to do everything online. Anyway, when this was out of the way, I started working on the app. Now, this is not just any app, this is going to be my app, and you know what we do here in this channel, we work with style. So I spent days trying to find the look and theme which best suits the app while remaining simple and user-friendly. I was screaming the whole time. I never had to use XML before, and it's so hard to get things done in it. I was using UE4 to develop this fitness app previously, and it's so user-friendly and easy to get things done, which enabled me to focus on the artistic sides of things. But this was a nightmare. Throughout the development process, it went through a lot of iterations as the app functionality and the user experience was altered. But at the end, I settled with something like this. It looked good enough. Now finally coming down to the development part, what I was worried about, the main functionality, went well. The whole turn on and turn off flash pulse thing was time dependent, so had to make up a complex multiple recursive pipeline for everything to work in sync and with strict time accuracy, because using just a simple delay won't work obviously when you have so much stuff on your plate, which later gave me headache when I had to come back and look at it. But debugging this thing was a disaster because there isn't a flash unit on our emulator, so it kept giving me all sorts of exceptions, which I had to work around by pumping out log entries in every goddamn line. And why is it such a headache to illustrate a view and create a simple alert pop-up? I mean, look at UE4, my god. After almost 5 days of work, everything was up and running, and it looked visually impressive. I had a small info windows with our names on it as well, and it showed a cute little broadcasting alert box while working. Lastly, when Sayanti sent me the map to fill up the internal database, I fused it with my code and the app was fully functional and ready. Now I had to do the reverse in a different language to get the Arduino side of things working. We have been carrying out tests, so it was easy to get things up and running. In our app, we had these two parameters, frequency, which determined the time duration of a dot in the Morse code, and the blank gap between the individual units in a code, and frequency gap, which determined the same for a dash and the blank gap between two different entities or characters. These values between the app and the Arduino needs to be synced up in order for the whole thing to work. The code in Arduino detects, calculates and separates the light pulses in accordance with their pulse duration and blank gap, which is then decoded into readable text. With all this in mind, it took me about 2 days to program the whole thing in the same recursive manner, and fortunately it was working perfectly. As soon as Sayanti provided me with the reverse map and the other necessary snippets, the main engine was done. I wanted to display the decoded text through an LCD screen, so programmed it in as well. With this done, the system was finally ready. Here's a tech demo. So this app takes in a string of words, encodes it into Morse code and broadcasts it in form of light pulses using the phone flashlight in accordance with both of the frequency parameters. Changing those parameters changes the speed of broadcast. Looks simple, but a lot is going on under the hood. And here on the other end I have an Arduino. Now it keeps sleeping and wakes up only when senses the first light pulse. So basically it's a auto on off feature which receives and reads those light flashes, processes it and decodes it into its original form, displays it and goes back to sleep. This is all of it. Over the last few days I have been improving this system and I'll continue working on it for some days to come. Meanwhile, I have published this app named Morse Code Broadcaster to Amazon store, so you can go download and use it for free. The link is in the description. I'll be publishing it in the Google Play Store as well soon. I have since added a number pad which allows the user to change the frequency parameters in Arduino and some buttons to help define the minimum luminosity which the program should consider as darkness and to carry out other calibrations. That's pretty much wraps up everything. Check in the description to get a bunch of links to useful stuffs. I'll now roll some test videos before I end this one.